Hello, class. Today I want to draw our attention to a topic that's not as fun to talk about. Let me say off the cuff, I am not sending this video out to have you look at because this has been a rampant problem in our class. We don't have a ton of folks doing this, but it is something that consistently comes up as students move through the program in various classes. And that's the reality of plagiarism. This is a topic that's, like I said, not fun to talk about, but it's really important because as you get further and further into your education, the ramifications of it, the consequences for it become even more significant. So plagiarism, broadly defined, is the taking of someone else's ideas and thoughts and their work as your own. Now, there are various types of plagiarism. It can be in a paper where you don't change enough of someone's idea for it to be considered more of a summary, and instead it's still close enough that you need to give more direct credit. That is something that's different. So it's the difference between learning something and then being able to apply it well versus just regurgitating what someone else has said without putting in the effort yourself to be able to apply it with your own words in your own context. That's an example of unintentional plagiarism. You are trying to do the right thing. You're trying to change it enough. You're trying to summarize it. You're trying to put this idea into your own words. It'd be your own thoughts. But you just don't take it quite far enough. You haven't put in quite enough work to really wrestle with that to where you've really made it your own. It's unintentional plagiarism. Then there's intentional plagiarism. Intentional plagiarism is where you are intentionally passing off the word-for-word work that someone else has done on your behalf. I had a family member when they were in high school that had a 6-page paper due. They wrote the first page, they wrote the last page, and the middle 4 pages they just copy and pasted from a paper they found online. They failed the class. They were going to a high school with a zero tolerance policy, and they simply, when it was run through their anti-plagiarism check, it was caught, and they had to face the ramifications of that. So let me first speak to those that end up doing or being tempted to do unintentional plagiarism, where you're just not sure, like, is this something I need to cite? Is this something I don't need to cite? Is this something I need to change more or not change more? If you are in that boat and you are asking those questions, first of all, by just simply asking that question, you're probably on the right track, but just keep working it. Keep working on making sure that this isn't using any word-for-word phrases, any word-for-word kind of ideas put together, and then you should be in pretty good shape at that point. But if you're still not sure, one of the things that we'll see throughout this course, we have seen, is that we've got the Writing Center. That is one of their things that they love to do. They want to help people that want to write well. They want to have this be their own ideas. They want to do things by the book, and they're just not sure if they are. Let the Writing Center do what they're there for and proof your paper, look at it, kind of run it through some software and make sure that nothing's being flagged there. That's the harder topic, which is the intentional plagiarism. Those that are willing to risk doing very, very poorly in the class, those that are willing to risk possibly failing the class in order for the off chance that it can slide through, they can have not put in the work but get credited for something that they haven't done. number one, we hate that. Like, we just, as a university, we don't want folks to be plagiarizing, because it just makes it hard for us to know how you are doing in the class. It makes it hard to know how effective our teaching is. It makes it hard to know so many different things. But what we really, really get worried about with intentional plagiarism and academic dishonesty is the effect that has on your soul. There are only so many times that we can just run after sin, to run after dishonesty, to run after foolishness, and it not have this detrimental effect on our souls. We hear in scriptures that hearts can be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. And I know that some of you are sitting there saying, wow, Michael Lewis is getting real preachy here. He's getting real, making a real big deal out of something that's not a big deal. But I would much rather do that. I would much rather make a big deal of something that turns out not to be a big deal, if the end goal is me and you getting to stand side by side with one another in eternity. And not that we earn our salvation, not that we earn God's favor, but a willingness and being okay with running after sin in these various ways that becomes more and more apparent with things like academic dishonesty and plagiarism. It just puts up warning lights. It puts up warning signs of saying something not good is happening in the heart of this believer, to where they are willing to run after these things that God has said are not good. We think of something as simple as Adam and Eve eating the fruit in the garden. And we say, man, that wasn't a big deal. But yet we see that not only are the curses incredibly painful for Adam and Eve, not only do we see them, their whole lives being changed, but they're barred from God's presence in a way that they hadn't been before. And they have to live with that for hundreds of years before the biggest ramification of sin, their death, comes into effect. The Bible just doesn't take sin lightly in any of the passages that we read. Our hearts do. Our hearts are fickle, and they tend to justify ourselves, and they tend to make us think that a little gossip here and a little pride here and a little, I just ran out of time, right? Like I'm not trying to cheat. I just ran out of time and I have to get this paper in, so I'm just going to copy and paste these last two paragraphs, right? Like, our minds can justify things so quickly and so easily. But that is extremely worrisome for me, for you, that we can so easily justify the very things that the Bible tells us will kill us, will result in our death. So my hope is that I stand here as a reminder, as a kind of a pillar you can look back on, and just to remember that if you decide to intentionally plagiarize, intentionally copy and paste someone else's work in, intentionally try to pass someone else's paper off as your own, you might get away with it. You might not. We'll run papers through software to try to check if this is on the internet anywhere. And typically they get caught, and occasionally stuff will slip through the cracks. And so you may get away with it, you may not. You may fail the class if you don't get away with it. There'll be consequences if you get caught. But the bigger thing, I care about all the consequences. I don't want any of them to happen for any of you. But the much bigger thing is what this will do to your soul, what this will do to your heart, that could just be hardened towards sin, and harden towards God. The sin will become more and more appealing, and God will become less and less appealing in your affections. And honestly, I can say this honestly, I care about each one of you enough to not want that for you. I don't want to see sin become this appealing thing, and for God's appeal to diminish or distinguish in your life. So no, that was a lot. That was going through, and it's a heavy topic, and we're trying to use the realities of Scripture to talk about something that's happening in the academic setting. I think that's good. That's why we come to Union, where we can allow the wisdom of God and the truthfulness of God to permeate every aspect of our lives, including things like academic honesty as we're moving through the course. And so this will be here. There'll also be a reminder later in the course as we get into, I believe, Module 7, when we're working on citations and things, where just a reminder, they are of cite. If you're going to quote it, if you're going to use these word-for-word terms, then cite it. If you don't know how to do that, then reach out to the Writing Center, reach out to me. We can work through it together and go from there. So I hope that everybody's having a really good start to the term in all of your classes. If you're watching this again in Module 7, know that I'm excited that we are close to finishing up, because y'all have been doing so well. And I look forward to continuing to read the excellent work that y'all turn in. Bye, y'all.